Welcome to Chapter Sass, the podcast where we deep dive into the books that make you blush, gasp, and maybe even think a little. I'm your host, Season, and with every book, I'll be joined with a new co-host with their own hot take. From spicy romances to messy love triangles and all the glorious chaos in between, we're here with a fresh perspective to unpack the stories we love, question what we think we know, and explore how the book speaks to us. Things might even get a little sassy. This episode is rated mature and will contain spoilers. Let's get into the first chapter. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be covering An Offer from a Gentleman. This is the third book in the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. This is Benedict and Sophie's story. Spoiler alerts, we'll be covering everything from all the Bridgerton TV shows / books. So, yay. But welcome, Michelle. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back.
Woo! Yay! What are you drinking today?
I do have another tea. This one is a strawberry tea.
Oh, delicious. I am drinking wine. So opened the
Ooh,
bottle yesterday, gonna finish it today. This I don't know if you can buy this at Benny's, but if you can, Benham, they're amazing. I'm part of a wine club. This is definitely one of our wine club. I don't know if you can
love
buy
it.
this from Benny's or if it's from the wine club. Uh, but I will be drinking this out of my teacup, so pretend I'm classy. Classy with a K. That's what I'm saying. So cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. In my little bottle.
I love it. Classy with a K. Here I'm drinking. It's a 2022 from Paso Robles. Woo! Okay. So we start off and then we get the prologue. And we start off with meeting Miss Sophia Beckett, but we call her Sophie. So just moving forward, Sophie from here. And she's a bastard. Her father is the Earl of Penwood. And one stormy night when she was young, Sophie was just left on the doorstep. So I think this is very interesting because in the book and the rest of the book, she says her mom died like in child labor or whatever, but she was left at the doorstep. So, like, was this after child labor? Did her mom leave her on the doorstep? It's very a gray area, but she was left on the Earl's doorstep, and he took her in, and he calls Sophie his ward, and he just tells people that she is the daughter of a friend. So, but everyone else knows that Sophie's his daughter, like all the servants, anyone who needs to know that like Sophie's his daughter. And she grows up at first living an almost noble life. Like she is taught different languages. She has like a governess. Like she's taught how to live like a normal, noble life, but she doesn't necessarily interact with other kids because there's like one point in the book in the prologue where she's like, I wish I could have gone to like this person's
Hmm.
birthday party and like she couldn't. So she doesn't like necessarily interact with other children her age, but she is raised for the most part in the early years of her life as a noble. The Earl ends up getting married again, and so she has her stepmother and stepsisters. So she has her stepmother, which is Araminta, and then she has her two stepsisters, Rosamond and Posy. And in the book, the Earl sends Sophie. It's very interesting. In the book, the Earl sends Sophie the porcelain doll. But in the show, we only got the first half of the show. So everything we're speculating is just the first 4 episodes of Bridgerton because we haven't gotten the last 4 episodes yet. Her mother gave her this porcelain doll that she like carries around with her. And, you know, theory has it across like the internet right now and TikTok is that like the dress that this porcelain doll is wearing is the same dress as one of the ladies in waiting of the queen. Because like
Yes.
when Lady Downbury is trying to be like, I want to step away, and she like looks at like an older portrait, it shows like Lady Danbury and like a few of the other ladies in waiting, and one of the women are in the exact same dress as like the porcelain doll. So I don't know if that's where the story's going in the show, but in the book, it was the father who gave her the porcelain doll, like when she was like 6 or something. It was not
Hmm.
the mom. So just love the little difference, but like they kept it,
Yeah.
right? So I love where we're going with this. So right away, once Araminta like meets Sophie, she realizes that she's the bastard daughter, and she wants nothing to do with her. and she just thinks that, like, at this point, Sophie's beneath her.
Mhm.
And Rosalind follows the mother. She's an asshole, she's just following her mom, but in this type of situation, you question, like, right, like, she was following her mom, I don't know if she would have done that on her own free will, right? Like, she learned these things, so
Yeah.
that's what she copied, but Posey is much nicer. But Posey is also supposed to be, like, not as pretty as Rosalind, not as thin as Rosalind, so in the book, Posey is often felt as, like, an outsider, and so that's why I think her and Sophie kind of got along, like, there are times where Posey's like, "I should have done more," but I think it's because compared to her sister, she's a nobody, right? Like, she's
Mhm.
not as pretty as, so she's able to be like, "I hate this feeling, I'm not gonna put it onto Sophie." We haven't gotten that so far in the book, or I mean in the TV show, but I do think at the end, I assume Sophie's gonna go to jail in the TV show. I do
Yeah.
think Posey's character is gonna come out more in that area,
Yeah.
so waiting for Posey
Because
to come out.
that's changed so far.
Yes. Yes. So it's been 4 years, the Earl died, and he left all 3 girls money for their dowry. He gave Posey, Rosamond, and Sophie money for their dowry, and he gave Araminta, some money. He said, "If you don't take care of Sophie, you only get £2 a year, but if you take care of Sophie, you get £6 a year." And so the solicitor or whatever is like, "Oh, I'll tell Sophie." And Araminta's like, "No, no, no, I'll tell Sophie." But of course, Araminta keeps most of that secret. And so what she ends up telling Sophie is that, like, your dad left you no dowry, only left your two stepsisters and slash my daughter dowries. And he did say, if I took care of you, I would get more money, but she says only £4, not 6. So
Mhm.
she's completely like, there's like all this extra money that, like, Sophie doesn't even know stepmom is getting on her behalf. And pretty much the will doesn't specify that, like, Sophie needs to be
She has to
treated
treat
like
her
one of the
well.
daughters. Right.
Yeah.
So Sophie's treated like a servant, worse than a servant, and she thinks that's what's in the will. Like, she doesn't know any
Like,
better.
Airminta definitely paints the picture of, "I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, so just be
Mhm.
grateful."
Yeah, and she's not. She's doing it out of the kindness of getting more money. Because even in the book, she was like, "That's not enough for me to live on." Mind you, she's
Yeah.
already been divorced. So or
Yeah,
her
mhm.
other person died. So I'm like, "Did he really die? Or did you kill him?" Like, I'm already questioning how the other husband died. We don't ever get that in the book. But if the show wanted to be like she poisoned both of them, I'm here for it. So
She
let's
has the
do that.
vibe.
I
She
have no
has
idea.
poison your husband vibe.
Mhm. Such poison your husband vibes. Absolutely. All right. So chapter 1. So we get into, and everyone's talking about the Bridgerton ball. Araminta needs Rosalind to marry Rich because they're about to be kicked out of their house, which is really not their house anymore. And the reason is the Earl, because as we know in Bridgerton, like, when someone dies, someone takes over. There's no male heir, so there's like a new Earl there, and he wants to now live in the house that they're living in. And they joke, like, Araminta's like, "Why would he kick us out? Like, what does he have to do?" And the daughter's like, Posey, I think, was like, "Maybe he wants to find a bride, like, he wants to live his life." And Araminta's like, "Oh, please, like, this is my house." But the point is, they're gonna be kicked out. Araminta's making it seem like it's such an inconvenience, but they kind of live, like, in the countryside. Like, they're not, like, in Mayfair, if that makes sense, like, the
Mhm.
whole way. Like, they're not in, like, full on society anymore at that point.
Right.
So Araminta pretty much needs her children to marry rich. She has zero hope for Posey. All her hope lies with Rosmond and, like, marrying rich. And right now, the only eligible bachelor are the two older Bridgerton, or I'm sorry, not the two older, two of the Bridgerton sons, Benedict and Colin, but more Benedict than Colin because I think Colin also is kind of away at this point. So it's like
Colin,
just,
yeah, is out living his little
yeah, he's
adventures.
like at Greece or something. So it, like, really only means Benedict. And so, like, she needs her children to, like, marry into richness or whatnot. During this, Sophie has become a lady's maid to Araminta and her daughters. So she does not only ladies, maids, chores, but she does everything else. Like she's doing like
Mhm.
15 other people's jobs, including a lady's maid.
Like,
So
even
it's
their
the
most ridiculousness, that she's like, "I'll do it." Like, I have
yep,
no other choice.
yep. And I mean, once you've been in that life for so long, like I could only imagine you're like, whatever, give it to, because at that point you're probably like, I'd rather just do it. And even if I only get 5 hours of sleep, it's better than 0 hours at that point you're
Right.
probably like figuring out like what is it that you need. And so I approve. Like, I mean, I get it. I don't
Mhm.
wanna say approve, but I understand where she's coming from because I probably would do the same thing. I'm like, "Fuck it, I'll just do it, I'll get it done in an
Free
hour."
room and board and food,
Yeah.
fine.
Free room and board in a society that doesn't love me. I'm a bastard, I have 0 claim. I would've done the same thing. So it's the night of the masquerade ball, and Araminta and her 2 daughters leave, and Sophie's there, and she makes a comment about wanting to go for a ball just for one time because she knows that she's the bastard child, but, like, she's never lived that life, and so she just wants to, like, for one night, like, see a ball and see what all this is. So, her fellow maid and footman, like, make it happen. They get a dress from the attic, which is, like, her great-grandmother's or her grandmother's, with an embroidered gloves. They take some of Araminta's shoes that are silver because they all match, and they tell her when they drop her off that you have until midnight because the footman needs to be back to pick up Araminta and the girls. So like you have these 2-ish hours to like live like you're a part of society for, one day because you're a bastard and you never have lived it before. And Sophie does. She's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And she goes. And so what I find it hilarious is okay, so in the TV show, we get Colin and Penelope's story first. We
Mhm.
don't get Benedict. So we get Benedict's now, and everyone is supposed to be somebody different, and they tell us who they're supposed to be in the book, but it's also interesting because we get more characters that we don't have in the book. So, like, Eloise really was Joan of Arc, like, that was her
Mhm.
character. The mom was supposed to be somebody in a
A
fake
Summer's Night Dream?
no, someone, and then in the show, they give us, like, she's, like, the queen of the fairies in
Yeah.
Midsummer Nights, and she killed it. That costume, gorgeous.
So
We don't
beautiful.
have a lady or lord like Montage or whatever, the boxer, I don't know if that's her
Mhm.
name, the boxer and the wife. They killed it as Cleopatra and Antony, like, absolutely did amazing. Lady Danbury as Zeus and her brother as Zeus. I was like, when you and your brother show up as the same in the same outfit, who were better? Like, they
Clearly
absolutely
Lady
killed it.
Danbury.
Lady Danbury did. She had the Zeus cane, so I'm here for
Mhm.
it. She absolutely did amazing. Love it. But then they joke and they say like Posey was supposed to be like a mermaid. The mermaid costume didn't fit her well because she had like baby fat or whatever. But then they go on to joke because this is before Penelope married Colin. She was supposed to be a leprechaun that didn't fit her body. But in the show, because she's already married him and she's like someone famous in society, she's a pirate. That pirate outfit was amazing. So go Netflix because I can't imagine her as a
Also,
leprechaun.
I love that Penelope is the captain and Colin is just,
Yes,
like, some random guy.
this is what happens when you're not Lady Whistledown. I love it. Yes. Oh my god.
He's
Okay,
giving
so
he's giving male wife this season, and I'm here for it.
I'm gonna take that line. Love it. Yes, love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So our two lovers meet kind of while they're dancing. They're supposed to be dancing in like public. Sophie doesn't really know what's going on. They kind of do that in the book too. Sophie's like, "Oh, I lost my dance card," and Benedict is right away intrigued because she's already not like conforming to societal anything with this.
Mhm.
And so Benedict takes her to a private terrace, and in the book, he takes her to a private terrace. In the show, he takes her to a private terrace. And right away, Sophie figures out who he is because in the book, it's like all the Bridgerton kids look exactly alike, blah, blah, blah. And so she figures out immediately who he is. Benedict has no idea who Sophie is. And it's fine. Uh, Colin comes at one point for a little bit, and that solidifies how like Sophie knows that this is Benedict because the two brothers look alike, and she's like, "Well, clearly you can't be Anthony. He's married. You wouldn't be joking like this." You have to be one of the other two. You can't be Gregory. He's too young. And I think that he calls Colin by Colin, so he's like, by default, you're Benedict, right? Whatever. Point is, they're on the Terrace by themselves, and she technically is a woman, not chaperoned by herself on the private terrace of this, like of the balcony or whatnot. Benedict is there, but point is, they dance, they talk, they get to know each other, but she refuses to tell Benedict who she is. And during all this, she's vowed to never be a man's mistress because of
Mhm.
her life and what she's been through. But during this, her and Benedict like kind of fall in love and they kiss. They have like a full on kiss, things you're not supposed to do. If anyone
Right.
caught them, they would have been forced to be married right away. And things get spicy, like in a clean way, because I say spicy all the time, but like,
Spicy for 1860.
yes, spicy for 1860, like, he's calling her beautiful, they're getting turned on, he's saying all these things that are happening to him in his head, he's not necessarily, like, acting on these feelings, but, like, shit gets spicy. He, like, touches Sophie on her face, she in turn has to, like, take off her gloves so she can touch, like, his face. Things go on, then it's midnight, everyone needs to unmask, and Sophie's like, "Fuck, I need to get back because Araminta's gonna come home and like they Sophie takes
Mhm.
me home and I have to change." So she like rushes out and so instead of a glass slipper, they have her glove instead. Benedict has her glove. She like rushes out and runs into Araminta, but Araminta doesn't recognize her because she's like has her mask on it. So Benedict is then like he wants to find her and he realizes that the glove is an embroidery. Reluctantly, he asks his mom, and it's so funny because in the show, the mom's like, "If you had just come to me, I would've told you about this embroidery," because he doesn't even notice the embroidery in it. So, like but his mom knows everybody who they're supposed to be. His mom is super excited, he's trying to find love. So she's like, "Oh, this is clearly, like, old school money. It
Yeah.
belongs to the Penwoods." And then she's like, "I met the Penwood daughters, they're not good. I don't remember one of them wearing silver," like
Yeah.
and Benedict's like, "Oh, I only remember meeting one, AKA Rosman. He doesn't remember meeting Cozy." So he heads out to the Penwood house, and right away, Araminta is like, "Oh, you must be here because of Rosman."
Rosmond.
But then he's like, "No, no, 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 it's I'm not her." So she's like, "Okay, Posey?" Question mark. During all this, while this is like happening, Posey's getting ready. Araminta is, like, yelling at Sophie because she's like, "My silver shoes were smudged, I've never worn them. I want you to clean all my shoes. I'm gonna" and then they get a caller. Araminta's like, "This whole thing is weird. You know what? I'm gonna lock Sophie in this room because I don't want anyone to come." Posey has to end up locking Sophie in the room while she cleans, not knowing that Benedict was there looking for her the whole time. In the show, we get one of my favorite songs, and I was absolutely devastated because I was so sure this song was gonna be like episode 4, "Enchanted" by Taylor Swift. That's like literally one of my favorite songs. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, we're getting Enchanted." And I'm just gonna hear like Taylor Swift like, "Please don't be in love with someone." I was so excited. I was like, "Yes." However, the 2 seconds that I got this song, I wish I got more, but it was so appropriate because when we get the song, it's Sophie's not locked up. She sees Benedict. She sees that Benedict is looking for her and is with Posey, and, like, Benedict is, like, looking out, like, they're behind doors, and, like, Benedict keeps, like, looking at the door, and then, like, she's just like, "That woman he fell in love with doesn't exist, like, I'm gonna leave," and, like, walks away from the door, and, like,
Yeah.
that's the song we get, and, like, it was also perfect. Benedict now is at the Penwood house, and Araminta has Sophie with the shoes. She realizes that he's not here for Rosman, he may not even be here for Posey. Posey and in the show, Posey and Benedict have, like, an exchange, but, like, she talks about, like, a weird dream she has. She's just, like, not trying to be someone's love interest. She's like, all
Posey
the
is
things you probably shouldn't say,
adorable.
she's saying. Yeah. It's
I
like,
didn't
"Don't say that
realize
out
she was
loud,"
talking
and she's
about
like,
her
"I'm
dream, and
gonna
he's
say it
like,
out loud."
"No, go on."
Oh, man. And so once Benedict leaves, Araminta and the girls, like, look out the window and they see that he pulls out this gray glove. And right away, that's when Araminta figures it out that the lady in silver has to be Sophie. And so she immediately kicks Sophie out. And Sophie doesn't have much money. She's been working for free. In the book, she saved the money that because she was given an allowance. So she saves the money that she was given as an allowance up until her dad died. So she saved the little money that she had. In the book, she like doesn't have anything. And so Posey gives her like these earrings or like shoe clips or something so that she could sell. In the book, she takes two of Araminta's shoe clips to try to sell, only to find out that the shoe clips are fake and they're not real jewels, so she can't even get the money that she thought she was gonna get. Same thing with the jewelry that Posey gives her, they're fake. They're not real. But this just goes to show that the Penwoods are struggling for money more than what we think they're struggling for money.
Uh,
So afterwards, it's been 3 years, and Sophie has found employment with like the Candorals, I forgot, but like
was
she
it
found employment.
Kenwood?
Ken something, yeah, I think
Something
it's
like
different
that.
also in the book and in the book, yeah, in the show.
Yeah,
But the
they don't
interesting
matter.
part though, yeah, the interesting part though in the book and in the movie or in the TV show is everyone, I mean, I'm on TikTok and everyone's like, "Benedict, how did you not know it's not her with whatever?" Because in the show, only like a few months have passed. In the book, it's been 3 years. And
Right.
not only does she look different, she had to cut her hair for money. Like she like had
She
like super
lost
long
weight.
hair in the book and she lost weight because she's not eating the same. So like she literally does look like a different person. And after 3 years of you not, they didn't have pictures back. It's not like he took a selfie of her,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like he's literally going off his brain, and it's been years of how he looked. Like that is why he doesn't recognize her right away. In the TV show, it's
Hmm.
only been like a few months or whatever. So like
Yeah.
we're all like, why are you interviewing a black girl? Should he be interviewing black people? Probably not. Or like Latin, because clearly she's not. Like we
We
could do
love
possible
how Benedict
elimination.
mind works.
Love it. But it's not as easy to identify who she is in this
Yeah.
because years have passed. Sophie has found employment and she does like it for the most part. Mostly works with like two older people. They have a son. Their son has been away for like the 3 years, so she doesn't mind it. But then he comes home and the Kavanaughs or something like leave. And so she just
Hmm.
has to deal with the son, and the son is a creep. He's always saying inappropriate things to Sophie and the other maids. Inappropriate as in like rapist type things. Like he's just like not a good man. So Philip hosts his party while his parents are away. His friends are there, equally as bad as he is. Benedict gets invited to this party and he goes. And Sophie decides, like in the book, she's gonna have to quit because Philip and his friends have like kind of came on to her too many times and she just like can't deal with it and she doesn't
She
want to get
doesn't feel
raped or
safe
anything.
too. Like
Yes.
he's
Mm-hmm.
not a nice guy.
He's not a nice guy at all. And so she was trying to quit the right way, like leaving a note or wherever, waiting till the parents got back. Wasn't gonna work. So she kind of like quits informally. But while
Hmm.
she tries to leave, Philip starts harassing like one of her maid friends. She comes to her maid friend for help and in during that, she becomes a target and like Philip and his friends start like harassing Sophie. And then Benedict is like ready to leave. Benedict feels sick. He's been having a head cold. He's not dealing with any of this, but he's like, he knows Philip is a creep and he sees like Sophie, like he's like, she doesn't look like she's into it. I'm gonna stop this. If she's into it, I'll walk away, but I want to make sure she's into it. He like approaches them right away, figures out she's not into it, and Sophie says, "I'm not into this." Turns into a fight. Benedict starts like punching and whatever just to get Sophie free. He's able to walk away. In the book, they fight, but Benedict walks away with Sophie, and he's just like, "I'll find you a job." She's quitting, like whatever, and walks away.
Hmm.
In the TV show that we just got, Benedict doesn't get sick from like having a cold. He gets like he
No,
has
he
like
does not.
internal bleeding or something from
Yeah.
the fight. Yeah.
Like,
And
he got
that's why
stabbed
he can't,
accidentally.
like, do anything. That's way better. Like, the
Yeah.
sickness thing, it was like, because the book was like, "Oh, I had a head cold and it's raining, I'm sick again." That's not how
Yeah, and,
sicknesses work.
like, it
Um,
definitely gives it when he's, like, telling Violet, like, "She saved my life," like, it's, like, one thing from, like, "Oh, I gave him some soup," to, like,
yeah.
"No, I literally am bandaging his bleeding wound."
Yes. Like, I love that he got this wound because he was fighting. Like, I think it was
Yeah.
so much better than being like, he was sick. That wasn't gonna work. So I love it.
Yeah.
So Benedict, again, he takes Sophie away. He's like, "Oh, my mother will find you a house, but, like, you're clearly not safe here." And right away, Sophie recognizes him. But again, it's been a few years, so Benedict doesn't recognize her, but he does, like, think there's something familiar about her, but he,
Mhm.
like, just doesn't know.
'Cause he
Because
does
again,
ask,
her
"Have we met before?" And she's like,
yes.
"No, how
Yeah,
would we
and
have
she
met? I'm
says
just a
yep,
lowly servant."
she says that, and again, she looks significantly different than his mystery girl that he left on the day of the ball. So
But it
they
is
head
cute, though,
back,
that she kind of is like, "Please recognize me."
and no, but that's also unfair of her because she's like, "Please recognize me." He asked you, "Have we met?" Like, that was your
Yeah.
chance. You said no, and it's fine. Like, at some point, I get it. You're like a servant, you're trying to figure out society values, but then you also can't get mad at him for
No.
being like, "He's not recognizing me." He did, and you said no.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he later on is like she's like, "You didn't recognize me." He did. He's like, "You seem so familiar," and you said no. Like, what was he supposed to think? He can't
I
read
was
your
gonna say,
mind.
our girl Sophie has some self-esteem issues she's gotta get
Yeah,
through.
we need to get a little bit of therapy. Rightfully so, because, she grew up a little bit away, but we just all need some therapy. While and again, in the book, Benedict is, like, recovering from a head cold. So while they're heading he was gonna take Sophie back to, like, Mayfair, and while he's, like, starting to get more and more sick, it starts to, like, rain, it's like a torrential downpour, and he's just getting more and more sick from this head cold, so they have to stop off at my cottage. And Sophie's thinking when he says my cottage, it's like a little two-story, not even story, it's like a two-bedroom house, cottage type of situation. He pulls up and it's a fucking mansion. And she's like,
Would
"That was
stay
my
there.
cottage." And he's like, "Yeah, it's called my cottage." Like, it's what it's always been called. Like, what do you
This
mean?
was his name.
But what I love about this is during his ride back to my cottage, he gets so sick he can't even drive. Sophie needs to drive. To talk about, like, woman and man dynamic in that. Then when they finally reach the cottage home, Benedict doesn't have a key. He's knocking on the door, and then in the show, it is Sophie who goes in through, like, a open window and, like, lets him in, but in the book, it doesn't say Benedict's on the open door or window, but it just Benedict is the one who, like, finds a way in and lets him in. So
I
I
do love
do
that they
like the
switched it.
dynamic that they have going on here, because I do think it would have been hard for someone who had, like, a rib injury to, like, climb in through a
Yeah.
window. So, I do like that they kept that with
Mhm.
Sophie. Well, all this is happening, they let themselves in, they're trying to figure out what's going on, and Benedict keeps saying, "Sophie, you're a guest here." Sophie's like, "I'm a servant." And that's kind of where it goes, and so we go into really quickly back at home. And so we start off with the next chapter is Lady Whistledown telling us about the Great Maid War that is happening because Miss Penwood has lost her maid who was doing like four jobs. And so now this war is coming on. And I think they did such a great job in the TV show because this is the first season where we see like upstairs, downstairs. I'm such a big Down Abbey fan and everything. And like
Yes.
there were classes, right? Like there was even if you were a servant, there were classes within like the servants. And Down Abbey does such a great job at like you weren't the head footman, you were the footman number two. You
Yeah.
weren't the head butler, you were this. And they do such and I think they do such a great job with like the female like main lead being like, that's not how we do things here at Bridgerton House and like making sure everything love it. I love the upstairs, downstairs dynamic. Absolutely love it. But we start to get some of that. And so we get this great war is happening. Flashback to my cottage now. Benedict is getting just like sicker and sicker. And in the TV show, Benedict is like, "Oh, my sisters have clothes here, take one of their dresses."
Mhm.
In the book, he's sick, there are no extra clothes, Sophie can only take his old clothes. And so she doesn't have a choice but to take them. They go to sleep, he's in his bed, she's in her bed, but, like, in the middle of the night, Benedict's fever gets really bad and he starts screaming, and Sophie, like, runs in, tries to calm him. She gets water, she tried to cool him down, bring down his fever, and Benedict in his dream is saying, like, "Kiss me," because he's thinking of the lady in silver, AKA Sophie, doesn't realize that they're the same person, and tells Sophie that, like, he loves her, and then Sophie also tells Benedict, like, she loves him in this state, but again, it's very he doesn't know who she is, she knows exactly who he is, so it's
And he
not
does get, like,
fair.
a moment of clarity because he
Mhm.
looks at her and he's like, "Not you."
Yeah, he does get a moment of kill it he no, you're right, he does get a moment of clarity and is like, "I'm talking about the lady in silver, not Sophie. They're the same." But he does think that. So, Sophie, like, stays with him through the night, and while he's recovering from the sickness, she finds his sketchbook, and she goes through all his drawings, and the last drawing is of her at the masquerade ball with the mask on. She knows that that's her, and he at this point, she knows that he felt something for the lady in silver, doesn't know anything about it, still chooses to keep silent. So it's kind of one of those
Mhm.
things where it's like, I knew our classes were gonna be but, like, she found the sketchbook and found herself, because in the show, she found the sketchbook but doesn't find herself, right? So it's kind of like, I didn't know what I was gonna think, but in the book, it's very obvious that, like, Benedict wants to find this lady. She just she's not saying that I'm the same person.
Right.
Right. So then Benedict and Sophie have been at my cottage for like a week. The cranberry tree or no cran tree, I forgot. The
Crabtree, I
housekeeper,
think.
yeah. The housekeepers are there. They're the housekeepers of my cottage. The wife is a stickler for, like, following the rules. Husband's kind of like, "I'm here. If my wife says X, we're gonna do X," but he doesn't care. Yeah. So, why they're the servants and they're making sure that, like, Benedict's eating and he's not, like, going out anywhere because he's sick. It's gonna take a minute to get better. And they're just, like, taking care of him, but they're also treating Sophie like Sophie is like, "I'm a servant," and they're like, "No, you're a guest. Like, we're gonna take care of you." And it's the same in the book and in the show, so I love that they did that. And so
I do
then
feel
pretty
like Miss Crabtree is a little different from the show and the book because at one point, like in the book, like she does have Sophie helping her, like boiling water, things like that.
yes, and
And she's
potatoes or
like,
whatever, yep.
she asked, like, yeah. So she asked Benedict, she's like, can we keep her? Because we're getting old and it would be nice to have a young set of hands around the house. And then I don't know if you were going to bring this up, but then in the show, she kind of is more like she sees Benedict and Sophie spending time together and she's more leery of it. And
Mhm,
and I wasn't a fan of this. I was like, Miss Crabtree, how dare you? Let the romance happen. But she brings up a good point of like Benedict is so above her station that maybe Sophie feels that she can't say no to his advances. And I was like, "Okay,
mhm.
girl. Okay, I see where you're going with this." So,
I
that is one
love
thing I wanted to bring up.
yeah. No, I love that you brought that up because I don't have that here, but that is important because she does say that. She's like, she wouldn't know to say no because her job is to say yes.
Right.
And even when she's trying to figure out the line with Sophie about, like, you're a servant, but you're still a guest, there's still a
Mhm.
lot of, like, blurred lines because Sophie, like, is with Benedict alone, and she even says, like, "Who's gonna hire you
Yeah.
if someone finds out that you were in love with your master's son and you're trying to, like, there's, like, a hard line where Miss Crabtree's trying to, like, figure this out, but, like, trying to be respectful of society's rules, so I love
Mhm.
she's, like, our fairy godmother, our great
Yep.
grandma that, like, we
Yeah.
just needed during these episodes, yeah, so love her, she's amazing. Pretty much though, Sophie and Benedict have tea a lot in Benedict's room, which you're not supposed to do, but they do. Sometimes Mr. Crabtree will join, but during one of these times, they get so turned on by Sophia. by Sophie, and he's like, "I need a cold shower," but he can't take a cold shower, so he decides to take a cold swim, and he's the master of the house, so you would think he could somehow finagle his way outside. No, he needs to jump out the window like, he's 16 years old. So he
Y'all need
jumps
to
out
know
the
these crab
window
trees aren't
to the
playing.
lake to take a cold swim, and at that same time, Sophie decides she needs to walk, and she's like, "Oh, I heard there's, like, a lake. I'll walk by the lake." And of course, it wouldn't be, a romance story if Benedict wasn't naked swimming in a pond or a lake and Sophie walks in on him. That's exactly what happened. So we get that. And Sophie walks up on Benedict swimming naked, and right away Benedict is like, he knows someone's there. He comes out. Sophie hides like behind a tree. He calls out, and at this point he realizes he's like 90% sure it's Sophie too.
Yeah.
Calls out and is like, "I'm gonna follow you." She comes out. They have their little lovers back and forth, like little quarrel that we're gonna call it, which leads into a kiss. Benedict tells her he needs her right now, and all he wants is her. 'Cause again, he went swimming to like calm down. His penis was so hard. Like he went swimming to like make his penis not hard no more. And this is where we are in life. Sophie's taken aback by this because she knows this can only mean that he is asking for her to be his mistress. And I find this very intriguing because this is not how it happens in the book.
Mhm.
She's like, "No, I'm not going to be your mistress." Her clothes are undone. We'll get back to that a little bit. But like in the TV show, he asked her right away to be her mistress. And that's not how it comes to be. Like eventually, Benedict asked her to be her mistress, but like she was the one to be like, "I wouldn't be your mistress." And he's like, "I wasn't
What?
saying that, but yeah, sure." You know what I mean? Like he's like, "Yeah, sure." Like that's what that means. And so I like where they went with it in the TV show, so zero complaints here. But right away, Sophie's like, "I'm not gonna be a mistress." And for Sophie, she's not saying, she's saying no because she doesn't want her kid to potentially have the life she had. So for her, it means more, right? Benedict's not seeing this. He's just like, white male privilege, I want you, let me fuck you, damn consequences.
I'll
And
give
they
you
even
some
talk
pretty
about the
clothes to wear.
consequences sometimes. Yeah. And they even talk about the consequence. He was like, "Well, I would love any kid that's mine." And she's like, "That's not a life. Like, we would still be hidden." And he's just not grasping
She even
the
asked him,
fact of
"So
what
what
it means.
happens when you take a wife?" She's like, "So you never
Yeah,
taking a wife then?" He's like, "Well, no, I'll have to marry at some point, but I'll still take care of you." And it's like, that's not the answer I'm looking for.
that's not the answer. But the reason why he tells her that is because he's thinking of the lady in silver. He cannot give up the lady in silver. This whole time, they're the same person. So Sophie could have ended all of this had she just said she was lady in silver. But anyways, they go back and forth about he's not being a miss, she's not being a mistress. He's like, "Do this." Shit gets spicy. They're kissing. He like unbuttons her shirt, touching some boob. She's like, "I will have sex with you right now," I think at some point. And then when they started like talking about kids, she realizes she's falling in love with him, but that is why she can't move forward. So she stops it from going any further, and she heads back to my cottage. And like her and Benedict, like in the book, they have like she punches him. He needs to trip her. It's like a whole thing before she can even get back to my cottage. But anyway, she gets back to my cottage. She packs up her stuff. And Benedict's like, "Where the fuck are you going? Like, let me make sure you make it safe." And she just like, "No." She's like, "I can't be your," and she states again, like, "I cannot be your mistress." But the way she says it, Benedict now realizes she has to be illegitimate, right? Like he's now seen some of her, why she's so strong on this, and then he asks her, why are you this way? Are you an illegitimate?" And she like doesn't admit it right away, but like Benedict realizes she's lying at this point, and he's like, he's still not putting two and two together. He's not putting two and two together that like, oh, because she's legitimate, this is why she doesn't want to be a mistress. He's not thinking that. All he's thinking about is him and his penis and how he needs to have her, and not thinking about anything else, right? Right, male privilege. So, anyways, we go on. The lovers go through a lot of bantering. Benedict takes Sophie to Aubrey Hall because right now it's funny because in the show, there's still a Bridgerton house, but right now, Anthony and Kate are at Bridgerton house. It's like the summertime or whatever, so they're at their Aubrey house. Outside of summertime, they have number 5 or whatever for the or for the Bridgerton household. But he takes them back to like the summer house or whatever, which is the Aubrey house. And he tells Violet or he tells his mom, aka Violet, that like Sophie needs a job. She took care of him while he was sick. And so Violet's like, "Oh my god, you took care of my son. You're amazing. You're gonna be a lady's maid." Because she knows way more stuff than the average like she can read in French. She knows Latin. There's like a lot of stuff that's just like not making sense about it.
Yeah.
And Violet from the get-go is like, something's weird about her. I like her. I'm gonna keep her around, but something's off about her story, her setup. So then out of nowhere, we get Felicity Featherington because she's literally not existent in the show. But
Missing Featherington.
Felicity Featherington is best friends with Hyacinth. So it's like Eloise is best friends with Penelope. Hyacinth is best friend with Felicity. So they're like always over. So this is just like a little tidbit because I think we get more of it in Colin's story, obviously, of like Felicity. But this daughter that they literally decided not to bring into the show is just, like, living her best life in the book. Now we're about chapter 15, and Sophie's just getting adjusted to her life as a lady's maid, and she loves it. This is one of the best places she's ever been at. Like, they pay her, she's doing the right amount of work per pay, she's not doing much more. Like, she loves where she is right now, and this is the best time that she's ever had. And Benedict shows up here and there. He can't get Sophie out of his head. He does have like a bachelor pad somewhere else. He doesn't understand why Sophie can't be with him. She has said many times, "I don't want to be your mistress," and he's just like not grasping what that really means. But he's having a ton of spicy thoughts. So like literally throughout all of this, every time they mention Benedict and like Sophie, he's just like her lips, this, I want to touch. Like Benedict's having all the spicy thoughts, right?
She's also kind of integrating into the family. Like,
Yes.
they keep inviting her to tea, and she's like, "That's not
Mhm.
my place." And they're like, "Just sit down and drink the tea." But like Hyacinth and Eloise absolutely adore her. Like they're like, "That's our new best friend, Sophie."
Yeah, no, you're 1000%, and she's having trouble adjusting because she's supposed to be the servant, but this is also
Hmm.
feeling very much like how it was at my cottage. And they do a little bit of that in the TV show. Again, the show ends kind of with her being in that world, so we're just
Yeah.
getting the tip of it. But I love how they're integrating it. Love it. Of course, Benedict and Sophie have like there's many times where they're alone. There's a time where they're alone where he kisses Sophie and she just gives in and she just like starts to think like, this is what I want. She's not thinking about children. She's not thinking about anything. She's just thinking about what here and now and like she wants him. But meanwhile, while Benedict is kissing her, he's thinking of the lady in silver. He's like, oh, this is so familiar. This is a reminder of what it was to be like Lady in Silver. And again, he doesn't realize Sophie and her are the same woman. And so as much as Benedict wants to take Sophie right then and there, and I believe they were like in the garden. So happy they didn't do that in the book because in the book, Anthony and Kate got caught in the garden with the bee sting. So, Daphne, yeah, like, we did not need another garden scene at all, but they're, like, supposed to be, like, around the garden, and so, like, Benedict, like, wants to take Sophie and, like, fuck her right then and there, but he's just like, "I can't. This is her first time. I can't do that." So Benedict is the one to walk away so that her reputation isn't ruined, and so he leaves her there. But meanwhile, while all this is happening, again, Violet is still, like, sus. She's like, "Something's going on
She's so
between Vi."
sus.
Yeah. She's like, something's going on between Benedict and Sophie. I don't know what it is. I'm here for it, but I wanna know what is going on." Like, she's here for it, but don't keep her in the dark. Like, she's already pissed. She was in the dark the first time with the gloves. Like, tell me what this is going on. And then we go to next chapter. So then we find out that the house next to the Bridgerton house has been empty for a while. Lo and behold, Araminta moves in next door to the Bridgerton house because the new Earl, which we had talked about earlier, moved into the Penwood home, so they had to move out. Sophie's not happy about this when she learned that like Araminta is close. She kind of keeps away, but during this time, when Sophie is trying to, like, get away from Benedict during the one of the times they, like, kiss, she, like, she runs outside, runs by a carriage, and she happens to see Araminta with Rosalind and Posey. Araminta's, like, yelling at Posey. Rosalind and Araminta, like, go into their carriage, but, like, Posey, like, trips and fall, and when she, like, gets up, she sees Sophie, and she's, like, taken aback, and she's like, "Why are you here?" But right away, Sophie's, like, moving her head like, "Be quiet, don't say anything," and so Posey doesn't, like, Posey was the loyal one, so she keeps it secret, she, like, heads into the carriage, and that's all we know. But during this time, Sophie's having like a panic attack because she's so happy with the Bridgertons, but she knows that Araminta can't find out that she's literally next door. And she wants to continue working for the Bridgertons because it's like the happiest she's been. So she's like having a panic attack. And so Benedict finds her having her panic attack and takes her back to his bachelor pad, house, whatever we want to call it. Because, we were so worried about ruining her reputation in the garden. At least she would have had maybe a chaperone nearby. Let's bring her into a house where there's no chaperone and see where that leads us. So, Benedict doing all the right things. And I'm saying that as
Benedict has
sarcastic as
one
I
brain
could
cell, and we love him for that.
well, he's doing one thing correct right now, so I'm loving it. So he takes her to his bachelor pad, whatever we want to call it. And he's just like, we'll stay in the living room. We won't do anything else. And she's like, "Okay, cool." Again, she's, like, having a panic attack. No ladies in waiting, no chaperone, so she's technically ruined, just, like, walk if anyone saw it, she's ruined, her reputation is ruined. And, of course, because where would this be if it wasn't a romance? If Benedict and Sophie don't have, like, a little conversation and start, like, making out, and that's exactly what
Mhm.
happens, they start having a conversation, they start making out, and then shit gets spicy, Sophie's not stopping anything, she knows she's supposed to stop it, she's not stopping shit. Benedict is saying that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and he really wants her. He wants her more than a mistress, but he's not necessarily admitting that because, again, the lady in silver is in the back of his head. Shit is still getting spicy, like shirts coming off, fingers are going everywhere, all types of things are happening. Benedict literally, while Sophie's like trying to like stop him a little bit, he's like, "Shh, don't think. Let me
Yeah.
pleasure you." So, Benedict is literally thinking with his penis at this point. No, there is no brain thought at all in this. And before we know it, clothes are off and he's figuring her and then they fuck. Like there's like I don't know
Mhm.
how else to put that. They
Nope,
do
that's
it.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We do go to say though, Benedict is supposed to be a rake in the book and in the TV show. We find out he's never been with the virgin in the TV show. Uh Interesting if you're a rake. So you only I mean
You know what
maybe, I
though?
don't
That
know, but
checks out a
interesting.
little bit because like during that time, like the only women who were kind of getting some on the side were either married or they were like ladies of the night or they were like people who did not care like how Anthony had his opera singer. Like nobody cared about her reputation because she was an artist. So I mean, that kind of checks out.
You know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to Michelle. That's correct. What I find very funny about this is Sophie and Benedict clearly reached their pinnacle in this scene, and Francesca's still trying to figure out where her pinnacle is in the TV show. She has no idea. Mom is
Nobody can
gaslighting
tell
her.
her
I love
either.
Violet Bridgerton. Love Violet. She's
She's
gaslighting her daughter.
she's like, "Oh, my, oh, we need something stronger than tea."
Violet is gaslighting her daughter. I don't care. But meanwhile, in the book, Benedict and Sophie have reached their pinnacle, and they are having a great time. When they are finally done, Benedict's like, "Okay, I'll send someone to get your stuff and we can like be together." And they'll get it discreetly, like, "Don't worry, nothing's gonna happen. You can move in." And Sophie's just like, "I can't move in with you because I can't be your mistress. We shouldn't have done this. It was a mistake."
Like, she's
And
even worried that
Benedict,
she's going to get pregnant from that one time.
yes. And she's terrified she's gonna get pregnant from that one time because again, she's a bastard. Like she doesn't want her kid to live the life that she lived. And during this, Benedict is like pissed and he's like, "Oh, I'm a mistake." And I do see Benedict's point in this. Is you just fucked me at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what it was. We
Yeah.
both have made it clear that we like each other and we want to be more. You decided that it was okay and we crossed the line. and that's fine. And I actually kind of like that this happened because I think this is can relate to a lot of, like, women in today's society. So she said yes at that time, but her answer is still no, right?
Yeah.
Like her answer is like, "This is not happening again." No. And I think what our society has such a hard time understanding is like you can still say no after doing something. And nowadays it's like when a woman gets raped or whatever, it's like, "Oh," and I don't know, this is just things like from
Yeah.
news or whatever that I'm in it, I don't know exactly, but it's like, "You said yes, so it meant yes forever and always." I was like, "No, that's not how that
No, no.
works."
You can
She was
change your
caught up
mind.
in the moment, she did it, she acknowledges that was it, but she's saying no moving forward, and, like, I think the generation under us, like, I think men are taught that, like, no means no, but I think the generation we grew up with is kind of a little
Mhm.
bit stickier, maybe not as
Yeah.
clear, not saying all men. There are a lot of great men out there who are very great, but we get into this thing where it's like, "Oh, she was asking for this, she said yes 2 weeks ago." 2 weeks ago does
Yeah.
not mean today. Like, if like,
Mhm.
no can be no later. Yeah,
Or, like,
and I
you can
think just
even
what
like, you can even go home with somebody and the initial answer is yes, and then you can say, "Yeah, actually, you know what? Imma just go home." That's
yeah.
perfectly fine too.
That is perfectly fine, and your
For
answer
both
is no,
parties
and I
even.
think yep, and I think that's where we as a society, like, at least around our age group, that's
Mhm.
where it gets, like, sticky, and it's like, it shouldn't be sticky. She said no, like, th that doesn't mean the guy can continue or do on or go on, and I just find parallels with this because Benedict is like, "You fucked me, that means yes," and she's like, "No, I gave into my I gave in right now, but I'm not gonna give in again." Like,
Mhm.
no is no. And he at the end of the day respects it. He doesn't want to respect that, but
Yeah.
he respects it. So that's where we need to be. So any mamas out there, like I said, I think the generation under us is a little bit better. Just
Mhm.
because I think just what we're teaching men, but I do think in our I mean, I can't tell you how many situations I potentially was like in college or whatever. I was like, I don't want this. And they're like, you're such a tease. And I was like, no, I wasn't. Like, just because I said yes 2
Yeah.
days ago doesn't mean it's yes today. And if you're saying that, I really don't trust you behind closed doors. So I'm really not gonna go
Yeah.
with
It's
you
like,
because if
listen
you're already
to
trying to
what I'm
throw my
saying
words
right now.
against me, no. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I just think that like this is where it gets sticky for some women, but like just everyone know no means no. Doesn't matter if you said yes 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 months ago. If you're saying at that current state, no means
Yep.
no. And like I
No
said,
means
Benedict,
no.
yeah, Benedict does have a little bit of a hard time adjusting to it, but he respects Sophie at the end of the day, and he understands no means no. So yay, Julia Quinn. We had a
Mhm.
male author. I don't know if we would have gotten that, but like yay, female authors, and giving us that. Pretty much back to the story. Benedict's like, but you fucked me, like what all this? And then Sophie literally is like, she says in her head in the book, I want Benedict and I would do this if I knew there would be no like if I could not have a child. But I would not subject my child to this. Like she says that in her head. And so then
Mhm.
she says out loud, I cannot be your mistress because what if we have a child? And Benedict is and to your point you said earlier, she's like, what if we have a child? But it's like, I would love the child. I wouldn't like deny them. And she's like, but what of a wife? And then that's when he thinks of the lady in silver again. And she still stays the mistress, even though she is the lady in silver. And so she
Mhm.
pretty much just tells him that, like, as a mistress in this society, my child would never be respected with a ton, and I cannot do that. Like, I'm just not.
Right.
So give it up for her because she's trying to end the trauma right there, right? Like generational trauma, she's trying to end right
Mhm.
then and there. I give it to her. I give it to her. And so Sophie pretty much says, go find your wife, leave me alone. And she tells him she doesn't regret what they did, but she just cannot have an illegitimate child. She was a bastard and she's reminded every day of it. And she refuses to do that to her child. And so, again, you would think that Benedict now at this time would be a little bit more understanding in the fact that, like, oh, it's not just her. She's worried about future offspring. She's worried
Right.
about what society would deem because he still wants to marry, right? He's not getting that. He's just like, woo, woo. That's where that's going. And so then we get the next chapter, and it's a Lady Whistledown. Like every chapter start off with Lady Whistledown. and it pretty much just states that the recent most like musicale that they had to go to, Posey was not a very active like debutante. She kind of stayed by the window as if she and kept looking out as if she was looking for someone, aka she was looking for Sophie because this is when she would have just seen Sophie like during this whole time. It's been a few days. They're back at home. Violet tricks Benedict into coming over. She has like 7 eligible ladies waiting for him, and Benedict's over this. He's just like, "Mom, stop." And then he asks her like, "What happens if you fall in love with someone that's not suitable?" And so he doesn't. And so internally, he admits that he loves Sophie. He doesn't like say this to his mom, but right away, Violet is understanding what he's putting down and is like, "Okay, let me ask." And they kind of go, like, back and forth, and she's like, "Well, how unsuitable? Like, what's the class?" Like, she's, like, asking all this question, and he's pretty much is like, "She's not in a great social class. She's far outside the class that we're in. What do I do?" And then Violet tells him that, like, she supports whoever he wants to marry, but she does caution him because if you marry someone in the s and she even says, "Let's just say this person's in the servant class, this could just be a strain on your marriage because of what the ton will say because of the gossip." She's pretty much just like, "We live in this world. I don't care who you marry for love. But we live in this world, and so don't be naive enough to know that this is not gonna impact your marriage." Like, that's what she tells them, and I respect Violet for that because that shit happens in today's society. Like, whether you're
Mhm.
married outside of different races or things, there's a lot you have to do to come together with a person. Like,
Mhm.
and 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 she's just saying this is gonna be a strain, so, like, be ready for it, you know? And then Benedict at that point realized again, he kind of wasn't realizing that he loved Sophie, but like now when his mom says all this, he is ready to say it out loud that he loves Sophie and he wants to be with her and he knows he can never be with the woman in silver. She was like a fantasy and like he's ready to like ask Sophie to like be his wife, not like his mistress. So during this exact same time, uh, someone's supposed to be looking after her, you like younger cousins. And so she asked Sophie. So Sophie's helping to look after these younger cousins and they're playing blind man's bluff. And so Sophie's blindfolded. And so Benedict is like trying to get out the house because he's trying to like go to Sophie. But meanwhile, he doesn't know Sophie's like upstairs playing with the children. And so we get this cute little Eloise little like snippet. And I absolutely love it because Eloise and the mom are working together. It's like Eloise is like, "Benedict, where are you going?" And he's like ready to leave because he's trying to find Sophie outside the house. And she's like, "No, you need to go with Hyacinth. You said you were gonna help her with her math." And then he's like, I can help Hyacinth like tomorrow with her math." And she goes on this tangent. "Oh, what? Because she's a woman? She can't be good at math? You've already messed up," like makes him feel like shit. And so then Benedict's like, "Fuck, I need to go help Hyacinth with her math." So he goes upstairs, but then like in the book, it's like Eloise like winks at the mom, and the mom. It's like they planned the whole thing to get Benedict and Sophie together. So I like love it because I can picture. I because this is the first season we get like Hyacinth a lot, like in the
Mhm.
TV show. This is like the first season we get her a lot, and I can absolutely see Eloise's character being like,
Yeah.
"Benedict, you're like my favorite brother. How dare you say we girls are not enough? Go upstairs and help hide." Like I can see that fight happening, and he's so good.
No, I really hope they put that in the show.
I can see it. It's so good. So, anyways, Benedict goes upstairs looking for Hyacinth to like, and they say that she's in the nursery, which is a little weird because Hyacinth's a little too old for nursery now. But he goes into the nursery and he even says in the book, like, wasn't suspecting to like see Sophia because she shouldn't be there because like she shouldn't be anywhere near the nursery. But goes in and when he opens the door of the nursery, he sees her. And who does he see? The lady in silver who happens to be Sophia. Like that is when he puts two and two together because Sophie has blindfolded. So like he is
Mhm.
now seeing Sophie and the lady in silver together and he is pissed. He is like he yells at everyone. He's like, "Children, get the fuck out of here." Hyacinth and media is like, "Okay, kids, let's go. I don't know what this is. I'm nosy, but like something's
It's
happening.
not my
Let's
business.
go." This is not my business, yeah, and meanwhile, Sophie is still blind, she's trying to, like, undo her blindfold, and Benedict is like, "Do you have something to tell me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And that's when Sophie realizes, "Oh, fuck. He knows I'm the lady in silver. He knows that this is who I am." And then he's just getting mad at this point. He is mad at Sophie for, like, not telling him, but he's also mad because this whole time while he was falling in love with Sophie, he kept thinking about the connection he had with the lady in silver. He kept thinking about, "That was the person I was waiting for, but I didn't wanna tell you not to be my mistress because I was hoping for the lady in silver, and this whole time you guys were one and the same." Like, that's what he's really mad about. Like, "You put me through all this, and I would have always have picked you, but I
Mhm.
didn't know it was you," right? And so this is where it's like, ooh, sometimes telling the truth up front,
Well, also, Sophie had, like, some
but
conflicting feelings about all this too, because she
mhm.
was, like, jealous of herself that he was so fixated on the lady in silver, and it's like, "Girl, that you." Like, the
No,
fact that
but
she
then
could've
it's you.
said it.
Yeah, it's you, but it's the you that you were before you did all this, and I think that's what we're missing. While all of these TikToks and whatever are so funny that, like, Benedict isn't figuring it out. In the book, time has passed. She looks
Mhm.
completely different than what she was in The Women in Silver, and yes, I can say, "Michelle, if you were to cut your hair and do whatever, would I still" yes, because your face
Yeah.
isn't half covered, but, like, when you're
Right.
meeting someone in the night and your
Like, it's
most
like,
of your
if
time
that's,
is, like,
like
under the stars and the
yeah.
moon, and you're
Think back to COVID.
like, that's a
When you
lot. You
first met
lost weight and
somebody
your hair's cut.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like, when you first met someone with COVID, like, I
it's
mean,
no,
like,
that's
during those
actually a great
times
example.
mhm.
Mhm.
Like, you would see, like, only their eyes,
No, I love
and, like,
that
I'll
because
never
that's
forget, like, the
actually
first time meeting someone, they
yeah.
take it off, I'm like, "That's not what I pictured what the bottom half of your face looked like."
No, but that's important. And they even say kids who were, like, growing up in that age, like the 2 or 3-year-olds who were in that
Mhm.
and everyone wore masks, like, when a lot of people took off their masks, the kids that could not recognize that, like, that was their babysitter or that
Yeah.
was whoever because that was taken. It's like, it seems stupid to us to be like, a mask covers half your face. Yeah, when you see that person every day and they look exactly the same, of course you're gonna pick up. Like, if you were to put a mask on your face now, I'm gonna recognize you.
Yeah,
But if
'cause
I
you know
never
me.
have met you right, but if I have never have met you, it would be
Right.
different, and, like, that's what we're not getting in the TV show, we're not getting that time has passed. We're just getting, "This is him." Like, I really wish what had happened was, like, maybe last season, Violet had had her masquerade and, like, Benedict, like, met his woman, and, like, he went on his rampage, he has this threesome or whatever in
His
Collins,
little,
but, like, we didn't get
slutty
the whole
side
story, all we got
stories.
was, like, Lady in Silver. Yeah, whatever it was. And then in this season, I wish what we had gotten was him remembering the Lady in Silver, and that's where we got, like, the full-on masquerade, like, because you could've just, like, cast an actress, like, like, running out the ball with, like, a glove, like, we didn't need to have the
Yeah,
full-on actress actually cast, and then,
yeah,
like, in this season, be the first episode being him remembering all of that happened, and it's, like, 2 years later. Because that makes the most sense because in the book, at this point, like, no one's supposed to have kids except for, like, Anthony and Kate,
Daphne.
and what I find hilarious is in the TV show, Colin and Penelope have their son, which should be a daughter, but, like,
Mhm.
we see in the second part of season 2, like, Anthony comes back with Kate and they have a baby. That baby looks the same age almost as Colin and Penelope, and
Yeah,
it's like, that kid should be walking, like, 2 years
yeah,
old because she was pregnant before they were even married. It takes 8 months to bake the kid 8, 9 months, 9 and a half, 10 months really, but whatever, we'll do 8 months to bake the baby, then we need, like, 8 months for it to be out to, like, learn to crawl, and babies are not crawling by, like, 8, they're, like, a little bit older than that,
yeah,
and it's just like, how is Anthony and Kate like, this kid needs to be, like, almost 2 years old at this point.
yeah, yeah.
But my point is, time is so different in the show, that's my point, right?
Mhm.
Like, like, we're not understanding that time has passed, and that's why he's not recognizing her, and, like, in the book, it is very obvious that time has passed. So,
But interesting, we are getting the foreshadowing for the book scene when she is blindfolded, because I mean, that is going to be in the show.
yeah.
because you keep seeing him look at people's lips, look at other ladies' lips.
Lips,
Because that's the
yeah.
one thing that he can remember. So like I can see it happening like clear as day, like, oh, this is gonna happen.
Can't wait. I cannot wait. I don't know, to be fair, I don't know if Sophie's gonna be, like, playing with, like, children, but I think she's gonna be, like, doing something and just have something up
Yeah,
against her face, and he's just gonna see, and he's gonna be like, she's gonna be cleaning or something, and it's gonna cover from here up, and he's gonna be like, "You're her." Like, I can't
yeah.
wait. I cannot wait, cannot
I
wait,
can't
cannot
wait.
wait, cannot wait. Yeah. Okay, so right away, like, Sophie realizes, like, when he's, like, saying you are her, that he's talking about the lady in silver. And so she just essentially says that like she was just trying to protect herself and that's why she didn't say anything. It had nothing to do with the fact that she doesn't love him or whatnot. And she does tell him that she is the illegitimate daughter of the Earl of Penwood and that she has been a lady's maid. That's why she grew up as like a servant. Benedict is over this. He's pissed and he leaves. Like he's just like, I can't have this conversation with you. I'm gone. So then we go into next chapter, chapter 20. Sophie decides right then and there she needs to leave. She's just like, I can't do this anymore. I need to leave before things get even worse than what they are. And then she like packs up her stuff. She doesn't have very much. She just thinks in her head, I can go to America. And so, but she's like, I have to give Violet my notice because she's been so nice to me. So she like has to go see Violet like in her office. Right away, Violet picks up something's weird because she's been picking up something's been going on between them. Sophie's like, I need to leave. I can't say bye. And right away, Violet's like, does this have to do with Benedict? And they understand, like, they're women. They say without saying that, like, it does. Sophie tells Violet that she wishes she was the type of woman that could marry. Because again, Violet realizes because of their social class, it would be hard. It's not saying it's impossible, but it would be hard. So she now knows for sure that something has, like, happened between them. And so she just said Violet asked, like, "Are you sure you're a maid? Because your story doesn't make sense. It just like doesn't add up." And just Sophie just thinks to herself, no one has ever cared about me enough to know that my story didn't make sense. Like,
Hmm.
how do I know French and Latin? How do I know all of this? But yes, Violet picked up on it. She pretty much just says again, we're not suitable for each other. I need to leave. So then Violet says, okay, let me get you a carriage, let me get you some more money, at least to pave the way. And then Sophie's like, no, and she's like, I'm not sending a woman out in these streets with like nothing. So
Hmm.
Sophie heads outside to like wait for Violet to like pull the carriage around and get some cash. But right when she waits outside, Araminta is there, and turns out, against her will, Posey told Araminta about Sophie. They have a little bit of an argument, but long story short, Araminta calls the cops and says Sophie is there for theft. All right, before we get into it, because we're close to the end, any thoughts? This is when it gets really juicy
So many.
after this.
There's like there's like one of my favorite quotes from like this book is like early in the season or the book when they're at my cottage. Sophie makes like an offhanded comment like Benedict can't see the lady behind the maid. And it really touched my heart. I'm like, oh, same girl. I felt like that's all of us. Like, oh, there's a lady behind this 9 to 5 worker.
Yes,
And then
yes.
yes.
But again, he wasn't seeing that because time has passed. She should have said something, but you're right. You're right. He She did say that. I love that. Okay.
I like wrote that down. I'm like, girl, same.
Okay. So now we get to the super juicy parts. Araminta's like knocked down and like the police come and like take her. So it's the next day and Benedict still needs to blow off some steam. And of course, this could only mean fencing with your younger brother. I don't know why in the Bridgerton storyline, anytime one of the men needs to like blow off some steam or defend a woman's honor, it's like a duel. It's like some
Hmm.
shit you can get hurt in. Like, let's just be people and like let's talk about our feelings and not have sharp objects, or a bullet. Whatever, that doesn't happen. He needs to fight with his younger brother Colin, and then they do like a duel, or not a duel. They like fence, but Colin pretty much calls him out and is like, "This is clearly about Sophie. We all know you like her. Like, just be with her." And it's Colin who says, "You don't even care about society, so like, why the fuck do you care she's a
Yeah.
maid? Like, you've done everything your whole life to go against society, like, why does this matter? And so, Benedict's like, "Oh my god, you're right." So he heads back home to where Violet is and, assuming Sophie's there, only to find out Sophie's not there. Violet's thinking she left because she says she was leaving the day before, but then Francesca and Hyacinth runs in because Lady Whistledown had written that Sophie essentially got arrested.
Mhm.
So now, we come back, Sophie's in jail, and her first guess is no other than Araminta, and she's shocked. She's like, "I was expecting Benedict, Violet, Hyacinth, she's like 10 years old, who cares? I was expecting all these people before you." And so she's like, "Why are you here?" And Araminta's like, "Oh, my wedding ring went missing 2 years ago, and so, like, Sophie was supposed to have taken it." And Sophie's like, "I've never took your wedding ring, like, that's
Yeah.
a false." But 'cause as a
She
reminder, she
did
took the
take the
shoe
shoe
the
clips, but she had it
she did take
coming.
the shoe clips, correct, but she didn't take the wedding ring, yep. And Sophie just asked, like, "What is it that you have against me?" And Araminta's like, "Well, it's your word against mine, no one's gonna believe you. I'm a countess, like, it's gonna be this." And Sophie's just like, "Dude, like, what the fuck? Like, what do you hate me?" And Araminta says it's because he loved you and I will never forgive him for that. And Sophie's like shocked and was like, "My dad never loved me. He never
Yeah.
acknowledged me. Like, what are you talking about?" And Araminta's like, "No, he clothed you, he fed you, he like let you learn." And then Sophie's like, "He did that out of guilt, not love. If he loved me, he would have like made an effort to like hang out with me.
Get
He
to
wouldn't
know
have
me,
left
yeah.
me." Yeah. And he wouldn't have left me with you. Like, he didn't love me. He did that out of guilt. He never knew love. And then Araminta was like, "Well, he was punishing me because I never gave him an heir." And then Araminta admits that like she hates Sophie. No woman should have to care for her husband's bastard. And then Sophie's like, "I didn't ask for this life." And I think that's like kind of important because I think nowadays we're a little bit better. I'm not saying that like all back in the day, but I do think a lot back in the day, women were pitted against each other, and it was like, "Oh, if you had a kid before, I can't love that kid." And it's like, that
Yeah.
kid didn't ask to be born. They're suffering the same life you're suffering, like, because you have some issue with baby mama or baby daddy, whoever, don't take that out on the child. You chose to be in this life, you chose this relationship, this child comes with it. And so I hope nowadays people are being more respectful of that, and we're not getting jealous of a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one asked to be born. I'm here because 2 people decided to do it, and I'm a product of
Yeah.
that. I didn't ask for
And
this life.
I
Don't
am
punish
no
me more
way
for it.
excusing Araminta because she's in the wrong. But I'll say at least with her
Mhm.
situation, he didn't disclose before they got married that he's like, "Hey, I have a kid." Um,
Mhm.
modern days,
Nope, I
you
love
should
that you said
know,
that.
and you still choose
Yeah.
to be with that person knowing that you can't love their child that they have. So I'm just saying, like, it happens.
I l I love that you said that because no, that's very true. She walked into that marriage not knowing he had a bastard, and he should
Mhm.
have at least told his wife, "I have a kid." I 1000%, we're not saying Araminta's good,
Yeah.
she's a terrible person, but, like, she walked into that marriage she said yes to that marriage thinking it was just her and her daughters, like,
Yeah.
she didn't
She did
realize it
not
was a
have the
whole
full
other person
facts,
she
at
had to be
least.
wary of, so I respect that. Right, I agree with that. Okay, so after, like, 10 minutes, Araminta's like, "I'm not leaving, blah, blah, blah." There's, like, a commotion outside the jail cell, turns out it's Benedict and Violet. Benedict, like, races in to Sophie, makes sure she's okay, and then starts kissing her. Araminta's, like, stunned. She's like, "Wait, what the fuck's going on here?" Because again, she's hoping Rosman is, like, gonna get Benedict at this point.
Yeah.
Araminta tells, like, the Bridgertons that she stole the wedding band, and Sophie says, like, that's a lie. And now, after this point, Araminta brings up the shoe clips that she actually stole, and so she's quiet about that. She's like and
Shoe
then
clips that were
Araminta's
fake.
like, "See, she did it." She's quiet. The magistrate comes in, demands to know what's going on. Benedict is like, "This is my fiance. She's wrongly imprisoned." Benedict is a Bridgerton, but while he's a Bridgerton, he has no title. Araminta's technically a countess and outranks him because Lady Bridgerton is now dower. Like, she
Mhm.
also doesn't have like the title that she had. And Araminta's like betting on that. She's like, I'm a countess. And she's like calling Sophie a bastard and all this. But what she's not realizing is while she might have more power, she's less popular. And Violet calls her out on that. She's like, I'm more popular than you. Like, bitch, bring it. Let's see who wins. And she's like, I'm gonna win. And so like Araminta like calls Sophie a bastard and her mom a whore and like all of this stuff. And Benedict just like grabs Araminta by the throat and like shuts her up. Very curious to see how they're gonna do that in the TV show because I don't see them making Benedict's character grab her by the throat because
I
domestic
can't see
violence,
that,
but
but I can
very
see
curious to
Violet
see how they're
being
gonna do
like,
that.
I feel like they're going to bring more because Penelope's story happened first in the show. They're definitely going to use that as their advantage. Like, I feel like Violet will be like, well, what will Lady Whistledown post? My daughter in law.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I agree. I love that. Anyways, Araminta is still using her title, like, she's still throwing it out there with the magistrate and all this, and Sophie is, like, still staying behind bars because of, like, the shoe clips, and then all of a sudden, she starts, like, yelling about this wedding ring, and then Posey comes out of nowhere and comes to the rescue and is like, "Mom, I'm the one who took the shoe clips." And the mom's like, "No, you didn't. Shut up." And Posey's like, "No, I took him. It was me." And like she's like, "If you're gonna arrest Sophie, you have to arrest me." And the
I
magistrate's
love
like,
Posey.
"We're not arresting your daughter." Yeah. And then Araminta's like, "Shut up, Posey." But like Posey is like saying gun ho to this. And so she's pretty much like, "If you arrest Sophie, you have to arrest me," which I love it because in the show, Posey actually did give Sophie those clips. Like
Yes, yes.
she took them in the book but in the show, she really did, like, give them to her, so, like, I do see this, like, kind of working out and Posey being like, "No, mom, I gave them to her. Like, I
Yeah,
stole them. Like, you have issue, put me in jail with this." But then Posey also says, "Oh, mom, your wedding ring that's been missing for 2 years, it's in your jewelry box, in the second jewelry box you keep in the hidden drawer that I found. Like, let's go check there. That's where that missing band is gonna be." So everyone's like, "Wait, what? Posey?" And so the magistrate now wants to like know what's going on. Thank God for Posey because she found all the shit that no one else found about it. So she's like, "No, you have your wedding ring. It's still there."
yeah,
And so then the magistrate's like, "What's really going on?" Because clearly Minta's not going to press charges against her daughter. Something's going on. Looks like you guys have more history. And so he looks at Sophie. He's like, "Tell me your story." And so this is the first time Sophie can say without a doubt that like I'm the bastard daughter of the Earl of Penwood. He only like allowed Araminta to take care of her until she was 20. Araminta was supposed to like she was supposed to be a lady's maid and she was doing the work of like three people. She even with no pay. Like in the book, she's like, I was actually treated more like a slave than a servant because servants are paid, and I never was. After she turned 20, she was kicked out with no dowry. And then Posey interrupts and was like, "What do you mean you don't got dowry? You got dowry." And then Sophie's like, "No, I don't have a dowry." And Posey's like, "No, I read it in the will, in the secret drawer that my mom has in the secret jewelry box. We all have a dowry." He's like stunned at this point and she's like, "Where's my diary?" And Araminta can't answer. But at this point, she's just so relieved. Sophie's so relieved because she knew her dad when her dad left the dowry for Posey and Rosman. It wasn't that she was like, he forgot about me. Like she was like, he would have given me one. I know he would have because like he
yeah,
took care of me when I was young. But it was weird that he didn't give me one and he gave them. I must have been so not important that he didn't even remember to put me in his will. Like that's what she was thinking. She didn't even think that she was in love. She thought she was
yeah.
forgotten, which is a
Well,
little
because
worse, right? Like
in
not
the
being loved is one
book,
thing.
because in the book when they first when he introduces Araminta, Rosman, and Posey to the household, she has to introduce herself. He doesn't bring attention to her. She's like, "My lord," and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is my ward, Sophie." Whereas in the show, he
Mhm.
at least introduced her, but in the book, he very much was like, "Yeah, that she's there too."
That's a good point. Love it. So at this point, Sophie doesn't know what to feel because she's like, "Wait, I was left a dowry. Where is my dowry? It's missing." And so Violet Bridgerton, being the fantastic lady that she is like, Magistrate, isn't it terribly illegal to embezzle a woman's dowry? Like,
Yeah.
she's just like, isn't this wrong? Sophie is released. She is released from prison. There's nothing that's gonna say. Violet then a and I hope we get this in the TV show. I hope we get this exactly. Violet then asks for a family moment and bribes the magistrate. Like, she literally gives money to, like, the magistrate, like, the head ward guard or whatever, and it's like, "This is a family moment." And so they leave, and Violet turns to Araminta and says, "If anyone asks who Sophie is, you're gonna say she is the daughter of the late Earl Penwood." And Araminta's like, "I would never, that's false." Because her agreeing to this makes Sophie a little bit more respectable. So it makes her a little bit more tolerant, in quotes, of her being able to marry Benedict
Yep.
at this time. And so then Violet's like, Araminta's like, "Why would I do that?" And then Violet's like, "Oh, Benedict, what's that solicitor's name for stealing someone's dowry that I can go after?" Like, so she starts threatening Araminta to like come after her because if Sophie marries Benedict, she is entitled to her dowry. The Bridgerton family doesn't care about the dowry. They're rich. They don't need it,
Yeah.
but they're
Mm.
gonna use this against Araminta, and Araminta now knows she can't go if someone looks up the will, they're gonna see that Sophie does have it, and she doesn't have the money for it, so they will come after her. So, like, Araminta's like, "Fine, I'll do this," but, like, they use that like, Araminta tries to, like, 4 times try to get her way out of something, and Violet is like, "What was the name
Yeah, yeah.
take us to get there? When
Aren't they
can
right
I
down the
call the
street?
solicitor?" Like, yeah, like, Violet was, like, MVP of this whole thing. Meanwhile, Benedict didn't even wanna bring his mom, and his mom is the reason why they were able to do everything, so it was
Yep,
just
yep.
amazing. So, everyone leaves the prison, but then while they're leaving, Sophie looks at Posey, and she already is worried about, like, what's gonna happen with Posey and Araminta. Araminta's already threatening to, like, do all this shit to Posey. Sophie asks Violet Bridgerton to essentially take Posey in, and Violet says yes right away, and Posey's
Mhm.
like, "I'm done." They're like, "Do you even
Yeah.
wanna go home and get some?" She's like, "No, I don't need no clothes. I'm gonna wear what I got. Let's go." So Violet takes on Posey, um, and then Sophie then slaps Araminta because Araminta's, like, just saying shit about Posey, and she's like, "That's not for taking my dowry, that's not for lying to me, that's not for all these things. That's for treating your daughters unequally and not loving them the same because you're a mom and that was, like, your single job, and you didn't do that." Well,
Mhm.
yay. Let's go, Sophie, because she called her out. So the lovers make it back to Benedict's bachelor pad because, again, what can go wrong? We've already been there once. Like, what could possibly go
Yeah.
wrong? They talk. Benedict apologizes for asking her to be her mistress. He knows that they'll have to live in the countryside because she's like the illegitimate child, but he doesn't care. He never cared about society. He just wants her. He tells her he loves her. He kisses her. Then he kisses her and is like, "You smell because 'cause you've been in a prison." They bring
Yeah.
out the tubs. They bring out some tubs. He carries her and some spicy things start happening in the tub. They get out of the tub. They fuck. There's no way to put it. They, like, fuck.
No. Yeah.
And then once they're done, Sophie tells him that, like, she apologizes for keeping everything a secret from him. She was also trying to understand she thought that they could never be together, so she was trying to protect herself, but that she loves him. And then Benedict's like, "Perfect, because 'cause we're gonna be married in 3 days, which is next week." And so we get married. Epilogue number 1. It's been 7 years, and Benedict and Sophie have 3 kids, 3 boys. They're happier than ever. Sophie is currently pregnant, and they're hoping it's a girl because they really wanna name it Violet because Violet has done so much for their relationship. But not so far away, Lady Whistledown puts on her quill and says, "Maybe it's time for something new," AKA Penelope saying that.
Mhm.
Then we get epilogue number 2, which is actually a very long epilogue,
Yeah.
but it's mostly about Posey, and I'm loving it. So it's about Posey. It's like 3, 4 years later, so, like, not all 3 children are born. I think it's like 1 or 2. Violet has been trying to get Posey. She's a little bit awkward.
Mhm.
Hasn't lost, like, quote unquote, all her baby fat, all this stuff, and, like, Posey just hasn't found anyone off the marriage mark, but she's been living with the Bridgertons ever since. She's very close friends with, like, Penelope, Eloise, Hyacinth. So it's a few years later, and Sophie as Benedict, are there not any men that, like, we can match her with?
Yeah.
Benedict's like, "Oh, I think I have someone." They invite this person over for tea.
The new town vicar.
Yeah, the
So, like,
new
they
town
do
vigor,
it, like
yeah. So Posey comes because she thinks she's just gonna be with, like, her godson/goddaughter, slash goddaughter, whatever. The 2 fall in love immediately. They're, like, literally already kissing in the garden, and they, like, just met 2 seconds ago, like, Benedict's like, "Do I need to stop this? Like, if he goes any lower, I'm gonna have to stop this situation." Point is though, Posey and the new, like, like, person, they get married, they have 4 children, they're very happy, she thinks she's done having 4 kids, she ends up having a 5th kid, and she names it Araminta, and Sophie's like, "Why?" And she's like, "I'm not naming her after my mom, I'm naming her because of my mom," and I think this was such a great thing about being like generational trauma is gonna end with me. So like she chose to take a negative and make it a positive, not because like not for someone, but because of someone. And so she pretty much like, I'm gonna call her Minty for short because Araminta would hate that. But like
yeah.
I'm gonna love Minty the way Araminta should have loved me and like did it. And so I was like, oh, and I loved both epilogues 1 and 2. What are your thoughts?
I loved Posey's epilogue. I thought it was the cutest thing. Posey in the books was just kind of like I liked her, but she was just like kind of meh to me. Show Posey, she's my girl. I love her. She's my MVP. um, and I love in the show. I love the little side stories. Like, I feel like this is my favorite season because of how well paced it is. Like, I feel like Bridgerton has really found itself with giving each character who's not the main couple enough screen time. So, like, I love how Hyacinth is really getting into her household training of how to be a wife and run a household. And she's loving it and she's ready. She's like, probably other than maybe Daphne, she's like the most excited to come out into society. And I love her and Eloise with Eloise is just like, "Ugh, I have to be her chaperone and I have to watch this. I expected spinsterhood to be just me alone." And I do love the conversation that they have with Hyacinth basically saying, like, just because it's not important to you does not mean that you can trash it or that I'm not important. Like, there's all the side stories, like, even Eloise feeling out of sorts because all of her friends and confidants are married, like, her sisters are married, Penelope's married, she's like, "I literally have no one available to talk to." And I mean, I personally can relate to that at the moment, and then, even Queen Charlotte and Lady Danbury with them trying to like, Lady Danbury wanting to go back to her hometown, her village, and Queen Charlotte is like, "You cannot leave me, I will literally crumble without you." So like there's just all of these side stories. Like I've never been more like last season with Penelope and Colin, I was like, oh, I don't want to see the sides. Benedict and his little slutty side stories. Get out of here. I want to see the main couple. And this season, I'm like, get out of the way. I want to see the side stories. So like there's so many things going on. But I do love Sophie this season. I think she's adorable when she kind of trips in the garden or when she dirties her dress and she's like being all awkward about it, I'm like, I love her. I love everything about her. There's just like honestly, I'm not even lying. Like this is probably my favorite season. I cannot wait for like the second part.
Yeah, actually, no, I have to agree with you. This so far has been my favorite season too, but I think it's the closest to the book. I absolutely love this season. I cannot like picture anyone else being Sophie but her. So like,
Hmm.
I love that we got this, but like, I cannot wait for part 2. And once part
Hmm.
2 comes out, you and me will chat a little bit. We'll
Yep.
do a
Mhm.
little bonus episode about what our thoughts are, but it's not going to come up like another 2.5 ish weeks. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fine, let's figure it out since then. Alright, and now time for our sassy topic. Okay, so our sassy topic, and I said this a lot, so hopefully we get through this, but, like, how does privilege influence Benedict's choices? And would they change like, 18 era to 2026? What are your thoughts?
So definitely Like, the privilege is that he's like, "Hey, I can be with anybody. I can be with them if they're lower class, if they're poor, if, they're upper class, if they're a widow, if they're a virgin, if whatever." Because literally, he will have no negative repercussions. The only thing that he would probably have negative is if, like, a scorned husband came after him. Because literally if he had a mistress, like, they even mentioned the show, like, oh, everybody has a mistress. Anthony had a mistress. So, like, it's literally the most common thing. So, like, him asking that of Sophie, I mean, I know everybody was, like, shocked by it, but that was a common thing. Like, not a lot of marriages happened for love. So, like, you found love outside of your marriage. And, so, like, he will suffer nothing from this. Sophie, on the other hand, would suffer quite a bit because, like, again, if he got married to somebody, then she would have to be like, well, is the wife going to get rid of me? Is the wife going to hurt my kids because of the whole thing of, like, the jealousy of, like, other marriageable children coming from whatever way. So, like, that is something she has to worry about. She has to worry about if, like, if he leaves her, will she have enough money from the things that he bought her to support her and her children? Because I also feel like, and I'm not an expert of this time period, but I feel like if she was a mistress and she went back to being a maid, would the other future ladies not hire her because they're like, well, she stole this man away. How do I know she's not going to be my man's mistress? Um, so I feel like that definitely is something that would happen back then. Today, um, yes, it kind of happens because think of it this way: if he was like a billionaire, would the billionaire, like, be able to marry to, like, the like, housekeeping or something like that? I mean, in theory, if he did, nobody would care. Everybody would be like, it's a Cinderella story, which is legit what this story is. I mean, we as lay people, like, I wouldn't care if I, like, found out this really rich man married this not rich woman. I would be like jealous watch. But I do feel like maybe in their society it would. Again, I do think that as, like, from regular people, we would see it as something like that's so sweet and romantic and things like that. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree a little bit what you said. It differs for, I think, today. So I
Hmm.
think in like 18, I think this book takes the story takes like 1819 or something. I agree. And I said this a few times. He's not understanding his privilege. Like,
Hmm.
she's literally says multiple times, it's not that I don't want to be with you, it's the consequences of being with you.
Right.
That's what he's not grasping, right? Even when he realizes she's illegitimate, he's still not grasping, like, "Oh shit, what if I have an illegitimate kid?" And then
Hmm.
even in the TV show in this season, Violet literally says when she walks in on him with 2 women, she's like, "You could get any one of them pregnant." He's like, "Oh, they're acquaintances." She's like, "That's worse."
Yeah.
Like, "You're not even claiming these people as mistresses at this point." Like, she's like, "Benedict, that's worse." Like, so I also do think just based on how we were in society back then, it would have been much harder. I
Hmm.
do think Sophie did the right thing. She was
Yep.
taking care of regardless of what she wanted, she was like, "I can't support a kid without this," or "I can't have a noble kid, like, I don't want my kid to have this life." Like, I think she did everything right in that sense. I will say in 2026,
Hmm.
I think it's different. I don't we still have class, obviously. We have, like,
Yeah.
rich, upper, poor, whatever. But I do think it's way more common to intermingle or marry within the
Yeah.
classes, right? Like, someone super rich can marry someone super poor, someone super poor can do middle class. Like, that's not the issue. I think the issue that we still have problems on that we need to face, and again, not saying us in a full on blue state because we're in a blue state, but I think it's more the issue of, oh fuck, I had sex. I didn't realize what it could be, or even if I did realize I have a baby and now it's solely the woman's job to take care of this
Yeah.
baby, right? Like,
Hmm.
like, I'm a product of teenage pregnancy. My dad was not necessarily in my life growing up. Like, he might try a little bit more now as an adult, but like, that's what women dealt with. It was like you were the one carrying it. It was either you got rid of it or you figured out how to have it. And like,
Yeah.
it took two people to dance, right? To the tangle should
Hmm.
never have been solely on my mom, right? Like, coming from that aspect. I do think we're coming around more, but I do think men are a little bit taking care or realizing that like, "Oh, I birthed this kid, it's mine." But I can
Mhm.
say that from a blue state. Like, I cannot
Right.
say that if that is happening in, like, our red states right now, right? Because right now, our red states, we have less reproductive rights than I had 10 years ago. So, like,
Mhm.
I can't say that's what's going on or whatnot, but all it doesn't matter what state you're in, all I know is it takes 2 to tango, right? It should never be on one person. If it doesn't matter, mom or dad, doesn't matter, could
Mhm.
not have had baby without there are some moms who leave and leave the baby with the dad, right? Like, takes 2 to tango. So, both should be responsible, but it should not just solely be on the mom who
Yeah.
could not have a baby by herself, and vice versa. A man couldn't have a baby by himself. So, like, takes 2 to tango, let's make us a more like, both parties more responsible. So I hope that's what happens, in future generations after us. Like I said, I do think I I I mean, just in my age now to like where I grew up, I feel like there's a lot. I don't want to say there's no such thing as single mom because there's a ton of single moms out there
Mhm.
killing it and doing what they have to do.
Mhm.
So I want to applaud them and give them everything. But I do see a lot more like single dads now than I
Mhm.
did growing up personally for myself, right? But
Right.
I could also only be seeing that because I'm in a blue state. Like, I cannot
Mhm.
say if I went to the middle of Georgia, that would be the same thing, right?
Right.
Like, I can't say if I went to, like, Kentucky, that would be a thing. I just know me living in Chicago and, like, a blue state, I do see more, like, single dads now being 30 about to be 37, being 36 again, my birthday's in 2 months, than what I did when I was 16 or 10. Like, I just see a slight different, like, aspect there, so hopefully we're going the same way. Hopefully Benedict's
Yeah.
story, it is a Cinderella story, but it's also a story about, like, being responsible and, if you make certain actions, making sure that you follow through with them, so I love it so far. I can't wait for the season part
Yeah.
2. I cannot wait. Also, I'm here for Lady Bridgerton because I said this in the last episode. I was like, she was wearing so much clothes. That was lingerie. She looked so sexy. Where can I buy that?
Gorgeous.
Like, she has so much clothes on. And I'm like, yes, can I be the tea? Like, where can I be the tea with that much clothes on? Please give it to me.
I loved her. I love that she's, like, taking on the Benedict of the Benedict story. She's having her own little saucy little side story.
Love how the maid was like, no one will be home while you fuck.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sophie and Benedict are in the other side of the house while all this is going on. So the maid's like, "Miss, you can have your tea, and I
Yeah.
will make sure no other people are here." And they're, like, on the other side of the house.
I do love her headmaid. She's like, "You go, girl. You get drink that tea."
Yes. Oh my god, love it. Alright, okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Cheers. This was absolutely amazing. Until next time.